Alright, so in this video we'll just keep moving on forward. Let's go ahead and try to fix up this view here. So it's going to resume and it'll update with pretty much what we had before. So we don't like the fact that this doesn't go all the way out. We don't like the fact that it doesn't go to the borders because then it doesn't get snipped off by the corner radius. So what we need to do is we need to do a couple things. The first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of this padding, okay? So that padding will let it go all the way to the top. And the next thing we need to do is above frame height, we need to do a frame min width of 0 and max width of dot infinity. That expands it outwards, and we'll just put some padding. Let's look at the H stack underneath of it. We don't like this white space right here, so we can get rid of that by going to the V stack actually and saying spacing is equal to 0. And then we'll just put some standard padding onto that H stack down there. Now that looks a lot better. So I'll save that. Okay, and I went ahead and unfolded that so you can see it better. Save that, and that should look good. The last thing I'll do is I'll just give a shadow. So I'll say dot shadow. It'll be a shadow with a radius of let's say 4 and y offset of 4. There we go. Looks pretty good to me. So we go to save that. We'll go to content view. It'll update. And that is looking pretty good. That's looking a lot like what we were hoping to make over here. Okay. Next thing we'll do is we want to start putting some of our own custom data in there. So I have this data right here. I'll upload that for you to copy and paste in. Okay, but what we'll do is we'll go over to struct and enums, and we'll say we'll create a new structure. Okay, and that structure we're going to name that destination item. Okay. Destination item, we're going to give it a few different things. We're going to give it, every destination will have a name. Okay, it'll have a rating average. That'll be a double. It'll have a number of ratings. That'll be an integer. And then it'll have a image string. Minimum cost. An integer. And a continent. Val. That'll be of type enum continent. Okay, that should be good to go. Now what we'll do is back in home, we're going to create a new array here, okay? And this array right here, just see why it's giving us an error. It's no real problem. You know, just so we don't have to deal with all these errors, let's go ahead and just take this struct and we'll move it back over to home view, okay? Alright, hit resume. Everything will be good, no errors right now. I'm not entirely sure, I think this is just a glitch. Obviously it said succeeded. I don't know why it doesn't like the fact that we're using continent, but it's legit, it's in here. So we'll keep moving. So we'll create a new var. This variable will be called list of destinations. Okay, and it'll be a list of destination items. Okay, it's going to be equal to, let's start by, first we'll have our first destination item. This autocomplete is not really working well because of this error, so I'm just going to save it, I'm going to close it. We'll actually quit Xcode, just reopen it. The autocomplete really will help us out here, so it's good to have everything functioning the best way possible. So we'll go back to Vacation Planner. All right. So we'll create our first destination item in here. Dot init, okay. And realistically, we just need this right here. So I'm going to take all these and just write dot init. You'll have that already written for you, okay. So I'm just going to put those. So I can copy and paste this whole list. So I'll copy it. and I will actually get rid of this, you'll just be able to do this copy and paste just like that. And that will take care of that. So right now we're not doing anything with this yet, okay? We'll go back to this structure right here, and we need to add one more thing. We need to make this an identifiable structure, so which means we need to give it one last property. It's going to be ID, and it's going to be equal to UUID. Okay. And the reason we did that is now we're going to actually loop through this and create these views. So let's go here where we had this for each 0 to 3, and where we created all these large location buttons. Instead, what we'll do is we will actually loop through, instead of that, we'll say list of destinations, and we'll say ID is going to be equal to the ID property. So now what you'll see is instead of having 3 of those buttons, we'll actually have 1 for every single one of these destinations. Hit play. Now nothing's really changed here. Everything, nothing's going to look any different. We're just going to have more of them instead of just having 3. We have all of these now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to large location button, and if I go to large location button back to this file, we can actually start adding some variables that we'll be able to use to populate this information. So we'll have var, and we'll say city, so var city. That'll be a string. Okay, we'll have var cost. That'll be a string. We'll have var average rating, and that will be a double. Okay, we'll have number of ratings. That'll be an int. This cost will actually be an integer as well. Okay, and we need last one is var image string. It's going to be a string as well, so a string. And we're going to need to use each of these inside of here. So we can say, instead of the text saying city, we'll have it say city. And this one here, instead of saying cost, it'll say, we'll just use string interpolarization here, and we'll say cost. And we'll put this $sign there on the outside. So look at here, we want it to say starting at, and then the number. So we'll say starting at. Okay, and then we need to go over to this area here, this ratings. Now this is where we'll get into some complex stuff with the number of stars. We'll do some rounding up and stuff. So there's some math. We'll get into that later, but that's not what we're focused on at this exact minute. Okay, and we'll go over to this one. This one will say number of ratings, and this one will say average rating. There we go. Okay, well, I'm going to give these some default values so that way I can actually preview it without having to have default data in it. So we'll say the city, or actually what I can do is instead, the cleaner way to do it would be to come down here and give us some default information down here. So go here and I'll say like that. I'll say city, cost, and put a number. And average rating will be, let's say it's 2.5. Number ratings, we'll put 1,000 as the, this is just for the viewer here, okay? And for this, we'll just write like that. Hit resume. It doesn't like the fact that our cost was a string because that was supposed to be an integer. Try again. We'll go over here. And it's telling us it won't even resume that other preview because we need to fix it up here too. So what we need to do is when we're back here on the home view, okay, we'll go to large location button. This is where we were doing our for each loop to create each one of those large location buttons in the previewer. And we need to actually put all that information in there. So instead of we have for each listed destination using the ID as identifiable. And we're going to say this destination. So we can reference it within the closure, each of these destinations. We'll say the city is going to be equal to this destination dot city. This one will be dot cost. dot average rating. So we'll say dot number of ratings. Just make sure we spell it out perfectly. So we'll say this destination dot image string. And let's see what it tells us from there. Destination item has no member. Well, let's go ahead and change it. It's going to say name. So that's what it is, name. And then min cost instead of just cost. So let's just fix that right there, min cost. And then rating average, it's just formality here. So we need to make sure those all line up. And now all those things line up. I'll try again. What you'll see is the font. It's exactly what we were looking for. Now, some of the things are a little off. For instance, we don't like the size of this font. We don't like all the zeros that come over here. So we can fix all those individual pieces. But now you can see we took the information from this array and populated this accordingly. So let's go ahead and just start fixing some of these things. So we'll go to Content View. Actually, we'll go to this large location button. And we need to fix the size of this font, for instance. So let's go to this one. We want the cost to have let's say a font size probably around size 12. So right here, 14 maybe, 15. It's probably a lot better. Let's go to the home view and check it out. That's a lot better. The next thing is this 4.700. We don't want all that. So what we'll do is we're gonna end up rounding that up. So let's go ahead and just say we might end up just tackling that in the next video, and we'll focus on first importing the images into here. Okay, we'll get into the formalities of that in the next video. So we'll go to assets. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put all the images in. So another thing that I'm including in this tutorial is all the images you'll need for this. Okay, so it'll be you're going to get these two pieces, the data and the images. So I'm going to go to these images, and to put these images in here, I need to make sure I open this side panel, go to assets, I'll drag and drop all these assets, okay, into assets. And their naming is perfect for the way I named them inside the data, this image string. So what I can do now is I can go to large location button, and I can say that this image is no longer going to be system name blah blah blah. It's going to be whatever the image string was. So image, don't even have to interpolarize, do any string interpolarization there. We can just do that. Hit resume. This will likely have no image because we didn't put a real default image there. I can just put Amsterdam for the sake of this. So now it's just green because there's no real image. But if I go over here to the home view, we'll actually we're getting there. So now what we need to do is we need to just resize everything. So come here and we will say home view. We'll go to large location button. I'm going to give this the Amsterdam word so that we can go fix that. Okay, and we can start. We can say this image is now resizable. There you go. Now that we've resized it, it fits better. So we can just say one last thing. We'll say scale to fill. I like scale to fill the best. And lastly, we will clip the excess dot clipped. There it is. That's exactly what we were looking for. So we go back over here, home view actually. Once it updates, that is looking pretty darn good. So we'll compare it to this, and we are really getting close here. So in the next video, we're going to fix some of this. We're going to fix these numbers up. We're going to fix up these number of stars. We'll clean up this placeholder up here. And that, we're getting really close to the end here, all right? So I'll see you in the next video.